every time you think the ACC can't get worse, it gets worse. And it's just ridiculous that they've embarrassed themselves. And what are you seeing? And this is a really, really broad question for you. And it's kind of difficult to keep up with as many teams as we have in the ACC now on East and West Coast. It's crazy. But what are you seeing for this conference? Are we going to see any better play this year as a whole? Or do you think that garbage time is just here to stay for a while?
I think that had bowl season not happened, I think our perspective on the ACC might have been a little bit different. Miami, as much as I want to point and laugh and make jokes about them, they missed the playoff due to a tiebreaker, right? Like they, Clemson went out and won the title, right? Like, so I get that, but they missed the playoff in favor of a team that lost more games in the regular season than them, right? Now Clemson got in on the tie. Like, I get it. I understand. But I don't know, man. Like, so I think that, when you look at Miami, they'll be a good team again. Like, I'd be surprised if Miami lost any more than 2 or 3 games. I think Clemson will be a good team. I think SMU will take a little bit of a step back. I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing for the conference that SMU just kind of came in year one and dominated it. Now, some of that is Florida State being down. Some of that is they kind of caught Louisville at a good time. But, I don't know. Like, Pitt's not going to be good. NC State's a mess right now. Who knows what North Carolina is going to be year one under Belichick. The California teams stink and lost their quarterback to the portal too. So I don't have a lot of hope, right? Like, Duke had a nice year. Syracuse had a nice year, but we'll see what Duke does with a little bit tougher schedule. They were 6-1 at one point and hadn't played a team like in the top 50 of FPI. So I'm not super hopeful for the ACC. I'll tell you this though. A large portion of that falls on Florida State. If Florida State's just taking care of business, and if Florida State would have gone 9-3 this year and just been more competitive, say they still lose to, Miami and Clemson, but then they, kind of beat everybody else, lose to Notre Dame too. I think we would have viewed it differently. We'd have had another team right there on the verge of playoff conversations. We'd have another team that looks a little bit better. But this is what the ACC has always been. It's always been Florida State and Clemson. Maybe another team rises up a little bit and is kind of there challenging. You have your Louisvilles, you have your Miamis on any given year. You have this team competing or whatever. Pittsburgh has a nice run here or there. But, this is kind of what it's always been. And so, yeah, I don't think it really improves. I think it's going to be a 2-team race next year. Maybe somebody jumps in and surprises. Maybe a Louisville jumps in and has another nice run like they did 2 years ago. But I think this is kind of a Clemson-Miami league right now. Florida State hopefully can kind of get into that second tier right after that. SMU, Louisville fighting for that as well. I will say one team I'm maybe leaving out is Fran Brown had a really nice year. What can they do, right? They'll have a new quarterback. They won't have a guy with 1 billion starts. So it'll be interesting to see what they're able to do. Are they able to follow up a 10-win season with at least 8 wins next year? But yeah, I think this is essentially what the league is, right? There's going to be a lot of beating up on each other. There are very few dominant teams. Clemson's going to win just about every ACC game they play. Miami's going to win just about every ACC game they play. And then the rest of it's just kind of, can another team or two rise up to be competitive?